on this fine summer morning. And today what we're talking about is the challenge of what to remember when we get spun out. And we all get spun out, different things, different times of the day. And I know for me personally, I can go through a little stretch where it's like, oh, life's really good, never going to get spun out again. And then zoop, it can happen in absolutely a nanosecond, from a tiny fender bender to some miscommunication with a loved one. Could be any number of things, and instantly spun out. And what do we need to remember at times like that? Well, I want to read you a passage here. We're looking at the story of Abraham, who becomes Abraham, and his exodus to the promised land, all the beautiful parts of that. And we're looking at it from a poetic sense. Like, here's the literal meaning of the story, here's the internal sense of the story, and that's what we're looking at and sharing today. So the line we're looking at, this is from Genesis 12, verse 5. And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their gain that they had gained, and every soul they had made in Haran, and they left to go into the land of Canaan, and they came to the land of Canaan. So it's this exodus. It's another Bible's filled with exodus, filled with changes, filled with leaving home. Big part of our journey. And the line I found really interesting today, like reading up a little bit on it again, is that line that they took every soul they had made. That idea of taking your soul with you, which is a beautiful idea. Like, take your soul with you. And from a Christian New Church perspective, what would we be asked? What are we asked to kind of think of that as, or consider it, or just sort of ponder that might mean? Here's an idea. A soul symbolizes what is alive in us. And so our life itself, it's not our body that lives, but our soul. Our body receives life through our soul. Our actual life force or actual vitality comes from heavenly love. Nothing living can possibly exist unless it derives from that very source. In other words, unless it derives from love. So a soul symbolizes a goodness whose living quality comes from heavenly love. This kind of goodness is genuinely essential and alive. Oh, this just notice how many times that word aliveness comes in. And I think about it maybe this way. Maybe if I was to summarize, something for us to think about today, might be summarizing it this way. I think again and again we're reminded there's kind of two layers of life. There's the surface of the ocean, and then there's the depths. And it's very, very easy to get caught up on the surface of the ocean because that's where we live most of our life. We're worried about taxes or a bill or a cough, and is it COVID? Fill in any number of things. Like, we live at that kind of that surface level. And it's easy to remain anxious there because there are always waves. I mean, maybe we get a few moments where it's still as glass, but that would be under the maybe if life is like a lake, and I don't think it is. I think it's more like the ocean, where there's always movement. There's always rocking and highs and lows and ebbs and flows and all that stuff. And we can live there. And it's not, like, guess what? That's part of creation. It's not that God doesn't intend us to live there. He does intend us to live there. But the question becomes, how do we go deeper? And that deeper part is not the place where anxiety lives. That deeper part really knows, the beautiful line from Teresa of Avila, all will be well in all manner of well. It just kind of knows. It knows it's okay. It knows that what is happening on the surface sometimes can be, to call it overwhelming, I don't think would be a strong enough term. It's beyond overwhelming some of the time. And even when it is that overwhelming, what's the call there? Well, we're going to get battered by the storm. And how do we just keep on sinking down below that to where our soul is, where our aliveness is, where our vitality is, and essentially where heavenly love is, where heaven exists in our heart? From that place, we can go back into the storm. And I think that's what this story is talking about. Like, it's about when we have that, the figurative leaving home of these journeys, that's our job, is to take that deep heart place, again, where the vitality is, where the aliveness is, where the love is to take that and take that with us. That's the precious core. And it's easy to think, well, my job is to transport my anxieties. Maybe not so. Maybe our job is not to give oxygen to that stuff because it's there. And And this is just conjecture on my part. Like I think you could play this a little bit too much, but it's just a thought that sometimes with those anxieties, if we give them a little bit too much airtime, we can really start feeding it. It can become like a fire, and we keep on breathing oxygen on it, believing that if we just surface it more and more and more and more and more, that somehow it'll go away more and more and more. Doesn't tend to be how anxiety works. Like anxiety can build on anxiety, can build on anxiety. Does that mean we never talk about it? We never mention to a loved one that we're feeling anxious about something? I think the obvious answer there is no. That's too extreme. But it's just be careful about what you give oxygen to, because the ultimate reality of life is this heavenly love, is this soul that is deep down underneath all those waves. And how do we do that? Like how do we continue to move forward with this deep, beautiful peace within, and just continue to offer it up, and journey with it. It just is, it's good stuff to remember. So the takeaway for today, folks, remember anxiety tends to exist at this level, does not tend to exist at the core level. And if you haven't been able to find that peaceful place deeper, probably haven't gone quite deep enough yet. And that's not that, any of us are masters at going that deep, but there is a stillness in all of our lives, a quiet, a place where there is silence. And it's a beautiful silence, and it's a silence into which God most effectively speaks. So may you find that a bit today. And may you not live too much on the surface of the ocean. If it's rocky for you, may you find a few of those moments. That's my wish for you today. So with that, friends, what I want to do now we're going to shift into the meditative part of our morning. And with the meditative part of our morning, what we do is something very simple. We ring a prayer bell. That's to clear our minds. After we do that, we do a little prayer, then we do a little blessing. And then after that, when we close, we'll say hi to folks on social media who are joining us. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello to folks. And just let me pull this on up. There we go. All righty, dighty. All right, a comment here. Just make a note of it. Betty, good morning, Chuck. Your morning meditations, prayer, breathing walks really help with reducing anxiety. Have a beautiful day, my friend. Well, that's good to hear, Betty. I know it was fun today to was fun today to talk about anxiety. Yeah, it's like a universal human battle. I mean, a few people I've met, I think, have overcome it, but I certainly know a lot more like myself and others who certainly do wrestle for it. But thank you for that very kind comment. All right, number of other comments here. Patricia, great to see you joining us this morning. Kim, good morning to you, my dear friend. Marcus, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Linda writes, good morning. Such a good message and and a great ocean metaphor. See you tonight. Yeah, it's one of those funny ones, Linda. Like I've thought, oh my goodness, a hurricane, a category 4 is the highest. Category 4 hurricane, 1,000 feet under the water feels like nothing. And that's a great metaphor for life. That you may have to go deep to find it, but there is a piece that is there to be found. And Paige, good morning to you, my dear friend. Hope you're doing well. All right, dear friends. Well, hope you have a great day. Hope you have a day with a lot of fun, and we will see you and talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye.